Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and today for World of Warcraft, at least for US servers, tomorrow for EU servers, it's a brand new update. No, it isn't patch 8.1.5, which a lot of you guys are probably confused because Blizzard wasn't really all that clear, and I'm sorry that I have to be the guy making a video saying no, it's not 8.1.5. It's simply the release of a new raid, new PvP season, and a new season for Mythic Plus dungeons. And in this video, I want to give you guys all the tools you need with this brand new update in order to catch up to some of the current content. How do you catch up your character? How do you stay on track and get up with a brand new gear? What can you do in order to join everybody raiding, PvPing, and running dungeons so you can join in all the fun and enjoy the progression? One of the biggest changes with this update, with this recent new raid, is an extra ring for Azeroth pieces of gear. Whether you like Azeroths or not, you are going to be granted an extra ring around Azeroth pieces, which will give you at least 2 Azeroth traits for your spec extra to what you already get for your 4 pieces. So in the outer ring, you'll have an option between 2 specific options. Some classes and specs have more than one option depending on which abilities cross over. Then, in the second ring, you'll have your basic ring where you have a spec-specific and a middle ground trait. Then, of course, third is a damage or a heal increase. And then it's going to be utility. And then, of course, the item level increase. The idea is to try to catch up and get yourself some double ring gear as soon as possible. And there's a couple ways to do this right now when you're just coming back to the game. The reason you want to get brand new Azeroth pieces is because every single one of those traits is a DPS increase. When you look at Blood Mallet Sims, you can actually see the differences between every one of those increases. Let's say you have a piece of gear at about 370 item level with a Deadshot trait, versus a piece of gear with Asap Sleeve and Snake Eyes, or maybe Asap Sleeve and Deadshot. Simply having 2 traits instead of 1 is generally going to be a bigger DPS increase than having only one of those traits. In a sense, this also adds you a little bit extra customization to how you want to play a character. Now, not all of these traits are super exciting, but I've noticed in PvP having different combinations can actually make some interesting self-crafted builds. That's what I'm really excited about in this brand new build. So the first thing I'll be doing is diving into some Mythic Zeros to replace my Azeroth gear, and I have a group that I can run this with. Most of you guys should be able to get into Mythic Zeros with fairly appropriate gear, as you don't really need a high item level, but Blizzard also increased the difficulty of every one of the dungeons. That means normal dungeons, heroic, and mythic are going to have a difficulty increase. You're going to see this more prevalently with heroic and mythic. Getting into a group and grinding out some base Mythic Zeros is going to be a good step in you getting better gear. Outside of that, we have the new PvP season, which you guys can engage in, and if you guys follow the PvP season week by week basis, you'll also be able to replace a lot of your gear in terms of the item level. The better you are at PvP, the better your rewards will be, but if anything, this is something you can do weekly. Just cap out your conquest through battlegrounds or arenas, and then get your weekly reset every single time. If you're someone who does a lot of Mythic Pluses, chances are you have a fair amount of Titan Residium saved up. Whether you're somebody who is an avid Mythic Plus runner or you just do it casually, whatever Titan Residium you have, you can actually spend with the vendors. The vendors will now have more pieces of gear for you to select from. There's going to be 355 random pieces, 370, 385, also item level 400 and 415. Of course, the random version is going to give you randomized traits, but they're also going to cost a lot less. If you want to save up for a premium specific piece that you want with a maximum item level for it, you can. So it's really up to you how you want to optimize your gear with that currency. So this is really a question of whether you have a group that does dungeons, raids, or PvP. If you can secure some Azeroth traits from the new raids, then you might want to save your Titan Residium for maybe whenever you want to jump into some mythic raids, you want to make sure you have the best piece of gear possible from Residium. If you're someone who does this casually and are not going to have a guarantee for a raid, getting some good gear early, whatever item level it may be, at least at 370 plus or above, is going to be to your advantage. Outside of that, it's a good idea to pay attention to World Quest emissaries, as the gear from the World Quest is going to also scale up with higher item level. So if you're someone who's trying to grind out gear and you're trying to look for all avenues, after you've done your Mythic Zeros, maybe after you've done your arena cap for the week, then it's a good idea to jump and try to do some world quests to get your emissaries as well as invasions done, as all those events should award you with better gear down the line. The thing is with the emissaries and world quests, the idea is the higher your current item level is, the better the reward, so you kind of want to scrounge as much gear as you can before you dive into some world quests. Which is a good idea to take some time out of a busy day, get a bunch of Mythic Zeros done, trying to replace a bunch of your gear, and then doing some world quests afterwards. Lastly, we have the Warfronts. Right now, Darkshore Warfront is going to be increasing the item level of all the gear you get from there by 15 item levels. So whenever you have the world boss available on Darkshore, you will have 400 item level pieces of gear dropping from the boss. As of Tuesday, whichever faction holds the world boss, which should be Horde at least, you guys are not going to get an immediate gear increase. That gear increase will come in effect the next rotation. So there's a good chance the Alliance are going to be able to get a 400 piece of gear if they're lucky from the rerolls. You should also grab some reroll tokens from the transmog vendor. Those reroll tokens do transfer over from last season, so if you have those tokens before this Tuesday/Wednesday reset for EU, then you'll be able to use those same tokens for PvE as well as PvP. It's always a good idea to try to get into the most difficult content that you personally can, whether it is heroic raids, normal raids, Mythic Plus dungeons, or PvP seasons, and try to get as much value out of the gear as you can. What I'm going to be doing with my gear is waiting until we dive into some heroic bosses from the brand new raid, and try to use as many of those reroll tokens from the new raid, just to replace as much of my gear with new pieces as fast as possible. You guys are free to use those tokens in any way. If you're someone who is an avid PvPer and you can get some arena conquest caps done, and you have a fair amount of, let's say, rating from arenas, it's a good idea to use rerolls there as well. If you have Darkshore, then it's a good idea to use the tokens on the world boss. The only place I would not use the tokens on are the other world boss rares. If you're doing a world boss and it is not from the Warfronts, the item level on those world bosses is still 355. So the item level on that gear is too low, especially with the Azeroth pieces. So do not use reroll tokens on world bosses. This new update is looking really exciting, and I'm going to be streaming a majority of this update come Tuesday. If you guys are in EU and you want to peep some of the raids and some of the content, you're more than welcome to check out this channel. But for most of you guys in EU, which I know is a good considerable portion of my crowd, Wednesday is when you guys are getting this brand new update. So in this video, I've been getting you guys all the things that I'm personally going to be doing in order to try to catch up with gear. I feel like as somebody who does mythic raiding, I'm gonna have a fair amount of gear, but because of the way the Blizzard is replacing gear, you will not need to go do previous raids, and you can simply jump into the concurrent content. So even me, as somebody who is gotten cutting edge Gahoon, I'm still gonna want to replace my gear the first day that this patch drops. Which some people might find exciting, others not. I feel like it's a super exciting patch, the fact that we're getting a brand new raid, we're getting new updates, and the gear grind is back on. Which is something I love if you love MMOs. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. Enjoy the raid new update, and I'll see all of you guys in another video.